So apparently speedrunning's the thing, so here we go. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Where I take space related stories from around the internet and read them out for your enjoyment. All the relevant links are down below, and please don't forget to do the usual YouTube gump, because if you don't, the nanoswarms will steal your other sock. But more importantly, as always, I hope that you enjoy. Blammo! Personal best. I just want to give a quick thanks to the Tier 5 channel members and patrons. Bob the Dragon, Datamagnet, Sergeant Puma, Cat Crab Lobster, and Duck Machine. Thank you very much for the support. It is much appreciated. Determination, written by WeirdSpecter. C2560CE. Ashtai? Asked the stout mechanic, bronze shivering. Worked with them, yes. Tentacles are good at all that finicky stuff. Fixing machinery, that sort of thing. She turned, cranking a valve on the exposed reaction console system of the shuttle that she was repairing, humming quietly. Oh yes, good work ethic, and all. She turned back. Good to work for, too. Pay generously, tip even more so. Ships tend to be a lot prettier than most. The maintenance dry dock was leased out, one of a few hundred secured in the carousel station, Starway Dream. The whole spin can rented out in sectors by the Earth Corporation who'd manufactured it, poured into Star Corp. The dry dock itself had been divided into 4 even quarters. Sealed polyresin as walls with emergency tent airlocks and pressurized doors between them, each with a hatch for ships to enter and exit for repairs when the quarter was evacuated of air. "And Koreans?" asked Monsani, zooming the wide spectrum camera to the technician's face. "Aye, bright little stars them, and they like themselves a contract. You pay them, they'll work just fine, and only occasionally stab you in the back. Form a good relationship with 1 or 2, and they even do some stuff, what the human legal phrase, pro bono?" Monsani replied. "The stock on species diversity in the slum systems is really coming together," she thought, switching to a different drone camera as the mechanic closed a facade panel on the shuttle and skirted the small surface-to-orbit skiff. "And, say, tell me about the machines." The mechanic shot Monsani a look which could have stripped paint. "My father always told me not to trust a machine. Said the Arugas family do not want a lump of metal which has been convinced it's got itself a soul to do our work. Obviously, times are tough, and their work might be a little substandard in most cases, but they do undercut biological workers. So, I don't like working with them much. Avoid it where I can, like." She pulled out one of the drones for a wide shot of the shuttle itself, while the Arugas woman crawled underneath to check the vehicle's landing gear. It was a stub-nosed thing, 30 or 40 generations behind cutting edge, and would have been a museum piece if there was a museum that specialized in last generation crap. The thing had tens of complete overhauls, and probably hundreds of patches and rush jobs, all evident in the marbled layers of different materials. Barely any of the shuttle's original surface, a hushed, smooth black of composite substrate, showed beneath the thick welts of irregular heat-proof ceramic shingles and nano-alloy plate armor. Inside was a fusion reactor, running on a dirty but high-thrust deuterium helium-3 reaction, with backup power from photovoltaics, which had once been written into the hull like subtext, but were instead wired to its tumorous outer growths. Radiators, when the ship was outside the station, would fan out from narrow slits in the back of the shuttle by the thrusters. The what? Ugh, fine if you hire someone to clean up after them. No, that's not fair. They've got brilliant minds, and it's like they've got all the shady contacts. I found they just deliver parts I need, no charge, even if I didn't mention needing them. No questions asked, nothing up front, just an extra item on the invoice. Good workers, but I get why most can't stomach them. What about the Marauders? The woman laughed. Marauders don't leave their ice ships and those creepy claw things, and if they did, I would want naught to do with them. Tell you that for nothing. I hear someone once went at them with a high-yield nucleon gun and lost. They're practically gods, and of the mad old gods type. Fair enough. And, what about the Earth-derived life? The mechanic's jaw set. Her response was clipped and terse. worked with a few genetically modified cats, and a couple uplifted primates. Both make good workers. The cats tend to be good at singular focused tasks and precision works. Apes and the like tend to be good at multitasking. She turned back, pressing the series of conduit covers back into place, each with a click soft enough to avoid seeming impolite. Well, loud enough to hint entirely without subtlety that the mechanic didn't want to talk. And humans, we've done a lot of shooting for this dock, and barely seen any, especially amongst engineers. Seems weird that in a culture so accepting of outsiders, I got no problem with a human being as, people, Aruga said, cutting off Monsani. But as mechanics, our whole articulated body shouted, "Go ahead, ask a damn question. I figured it was coming sooner or later. Everyone says you're the only contractor out of the docks in this 50 standard cycles to hire a human. What happened there?" Her fronds buzzed angrily. With one of her forelimbs, the mechanic gestured to the resin dividing wall. "Come on, then. If there had been an orgy in a modern art museum, gate crash by the oddest 5-sub-font band of a gas-sifting drone, a refinery, a railgun, an ancient fusion reactor, and an artisanal sex toy, it was plausible that the abomination could have crawled out from underneath. At odd angles, radiators jutted, accompanied by long telescopic booms on which sensory equipment had been mounted. The whole thing was corroded, and there was no obvious function that Monsani could deduce. Putting on her best attempt at interviewer's voice, she asked, "And this device, this is why no one works with humans. Why? What does it do? Does it not work right?" "Oh, it works fine." There was a darkness and an edge to the technician's voice. "Humans make the craziest crap. You hear about the Kioski Corporation's patents being leaked in full across human nets a few cycles back? Probably not. Big thing about it was that these were the versions that are 90% annotations and explanation. It's like a plug-and-play electronics. If plug-and-play electronics could be used to build a planetoid-killing mass weapon, or at least that was how he put it." Monsani felt the information trickle into the lobes of her brain. Eidetic knowledge and the Kiyosaki leaks swimming into mine. But, those patents were meant for well-supplied shipyards, stocked with exotic matter and vector control components and that's where any competent mechanic or engineer would leave it, right? Ho-hum, can't be done. Guess I'll stick to what I can do best. Increase the efficiency of the drive system by an order of magnitude by rewiring it. Or whatever. But a fecking human. A human gets inspired, chases down every video feed he can find on the leaks, on how to reverse engineer them, and he makes... She shuddered again, gesturing while looking away. A complex movement that hinted at a lot. Makes that. One of the drones orbited the thing, little puffs of compressed nitrogen shunting it this way and that to get some high-resolution scans of the structure. The other pulled in on the Argus woman. "I don't understand. My human engineer worked out how to use the parts bought at an airlock sale and salvage from trash to disassemble asteroids at a range of 100 kilometers, or starships, turned a pile of junk into the modest weapon. What? No one works with them because they're terrifying. I read a story once about some humans in their spaceship in a decaying orbit whose fusion reactors are busted. So what do? Accept death, work on ensuring that at least some of the crew might survive atmospheric re-entry. No, they tether the ship to another and use a railgun to thrust farther away from the damned planet. At the end of a failed Gallipoli campaign, human soldiers made these things called drip rifles, ad hoc systems that fired their guns every so often to keep the enemy from thinking that they were retreating, and did this using ration cans, torch strings, and drops of water. In the Second World War, the occupied Polish worked out how to make flamethrowers that could kill tanks, jerry-rigged systems that decimated occupying forces, and used the axles of ground cars to launch grenades into fortified buildings. But if that's the case, why don't we all use humans for everything, all the time? Why? Because 1 out of every 5 times I turn that weapon on, it starts to overheat and has to be switched on and off again. Because I can't even begin to fathom how it works. And the guy who made it is not only didn't leave any notes, but quite convincingly argues that he's forgotten how all of it fits together, outside of the broad strokes. And I can't take it apart without risking losing whatever magic configuration it is that makes the damn thing work. To them, it is just normal to rig EVA suits out of some rubber hoses and a weatherproof plastic poncho, and forget how it was done. And that's why no one uses human labor. No one uses human engineers out of here because their talentless ones still outshine most of us, and usually find places on ships. And the guys like him are much better off working for big corporations, like Ford Interstar, where the proper resources are for their utterly mad ideas. She paused. And because, deep down, we're all fecking terrified of them. TLDR, humans are MacGyver. End of story. And that, my friends, concludes this dose of science fiction fun. I hope that you enjoyed. And if you did, please don't forget to support the author from the link down below. But if you want to support this channel, there are links as well down below for you to help with. But the easiest way would be to share this video. And if you are so inclined, subscribe as well. I will see you all in the next episode, and I hope that you all have a fantastic time until then. Cheers.